Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman!
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Please visit our website, holybatcast.com, and please follow us on all of your favorite social media channels. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast, and you will find us. And maybe that's not enough. You can't get enough of Holy BatCast, and you wanna make your commitment to the show a little more real. You can do it on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast if you would like to support the show. If you love the show that much, you want to support it, that's how you can do it. If you don't do it, I don't even know. I won't even know that you don't do it, because who knows who listens to this show. But if you do it, it's amazing. We love you for it. So you can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network, so if you're looking for other shows to check out, you can see those on the website at rf4rm.com. And as always, I'm your host, Andy DiGenova. Hello. And if you would like to follow me, you can do that on Instagram and on Twitter. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. Simple. Now, this episode, we're going to be covering a lot of cool stuff. We're going to talk about the latest news around casting for the Batman. Then we're going to dive deep into the Joker graphic novel from Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo. We're going to review the next episode of Batman Beyond, and then we're going to wrap up by answering your emails, because of course we are. And joining me, I've got not one, but two fantastic Bat friends. First of all, you're getting to hear him more and more and more. He's the Johnny Frost to my Joker. It's Brendan Lowe. Hey, Brendan.
I think you'll find it's Johnny Frost.
Oh, that's true. It's Johnny?
It's Johnny.
Okay, well, then sure. That's who you are. Which means I like you, and I keep you around, but you never know when I might kick you in the nuts.
That's pretty much exactly our relationship. you keep me around when you don't have your Harley, which is Jamie.
Oh my God. I mean, isn't that the truth? And Harley, apparently my Harley also went off to do a solo movie without me. So now I've got you.
That's true.
It's Jamie Drewley. No, it's The Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of Jamie Drewley. Anyway, also joining us is a new member of our Bat family. I mentioned Patreon. He is one of our patrons, and so guess what? He gets to join us for an episode of the show. We've been trying to make it happen for a while, and God bless him, he woke up nice and early on a weekday so he could do this. So you're already a hero in our book. This is Justin Piotrowicz. Is that right? Piotrowicz?
Good job. Yeah.
Okay. Shoo. All right. Well, welcome to the show, Justin. We're happy to have you, and welcome to your very own episode of Holy BatCast.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I listen to the show all the time. I think I started to listen probably an episode or two before BVS came out.
Well, all right. So That's a good 3+ years.
Yeah, and then whenever I go on long car rides, I just look for old episodes that I've yet to listen to.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. I first found you on Batman News with Sean Gerber.
When that was a thing.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
I just leave corpses of Batman podcasts in my wake.
Hopefully this one takes a while.
Hope so. So, Justin, as is tradition, you got to tell us, what is your favorite Batman movie and why?
My favorite Batman movie would be Batman v Superman. Not that I would think it's the best, but that's the movie that got me back into Batman and comic books. I remember I wasn't lucky enough to be at Comic-Con when that movie was announced, but I remember where I was, what I was doing when I heard that it was announced, and immediately my love was renewed for Batman. And I was in high school, I was in high school at the time, so I had fallen out of it a little bit, and then that got me right back into it. That movie it's the most I've seen of any movie in the theaters 10 times.
Ooh.
Holy
just-
shit!
Yeah, I could not stop going to see that movie, and yeah, I love that movie for everything that it is, even though it's not perfect.
All right, respect. 10 times. Nice. I think I only did 5, so you're
That's a whole lot of times.
twice the fan I am.
No.
Well, anyway, it's good to have you. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for waking up nice and early to do it.
Yeah, of course.
So before we get into the big main topic of the day, which is the Joker graphic novel, actually, let me do some housekeeping first. I'll probably mention it at the end, but we'll start early, is that there's going to be a delay between episodes after this one because since I moved to China, tomorrow I'm going back to the States for almost 2 weeks. So I am not bringing podcasting equipment. So there's going to be a little gap. So folks, just giving you the warning, you're going to probably go a couple weeks without a new episode of Holy BatCast. So take your time, listen to this one, savor every moment, listen to it twice. But just FYI. So we were going to record this a couple days ago, but Brendan got sick.
Sorry.
Yeah. He came down with an infection of the
Yes, that's why my throat's been killing me. I have a voice for a couple of days. Yeah.
It's like Michael Douglas.
Yes. Yes.
Oh man, that's wrong. Okay, I didn't mean to go there. Anyway, so Brendan was sick. We had to delay this couple days, but it worked out because the next day I wake up and Brendan's like, "Hey, good thing we delayed because now we got news." And I was like, "What news?" I'm literally in bed. I have not looked at anything. And the news is we got some casting murmurs around Matt Reeves's The Batman. So the first casting rumor is the one that sounds a little more set in stone, or it seems closer to confirmed.
Depending
and that
on who you read.
yeah. I mean that happens with all of these things, but it's the one that's like, again, to me it sounded more far along, and that is Jeffrey Wright is allegedly signing on to play Commissioner Gordon in this movie. So Jeffrey Wright, has he done Bond stuff, Brendan?
Yes, he's Felix Leiter in the Daniel Craig movies.
That's what I thought. I was like, I feel like I've seen him in Bond stuff. I saw him in Hunger Games stuff. He's one of those character actors who's shown up in a million things over the past 20 years, and he's always great. But he is allegedly our new Jim Gordon. So, Justin, how do you feel about Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon?
Brendan can relate to this just because of the James Bond movies, but I love his character in the James Bond movies, and I'm glad that they're bringing him back for the next one.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, when I saw that online, I was very happy with that. I mean, I never once thought of him as an option, but once he was presented as one, I was immediately in love with that.
Excellent. And Brendan, like this is your two great loves, is he's bridging the gap between Bond and Batman. Which
I'm always a fan of, as you know. I mean, for me, like we were just saying, it's not like when we did our fan casting, no one mentioned him, but when I heard it the other morning, I was just kind of like, shit, that actually works. Like, I really like that, and having the Bond crossover is just a huge bonus.
So I don't think we mentioned it in our fan casting, but I know I had seen other fans fan cast it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't as prevalent as a lot of the other ones we discussed, but I knew I had seen that before. So whoever out there who's listening who did have this as a fan cast, hey, 10 points for you. Because, this was one that, like I said, I had seen someone say it, and it seems like this is the one that is it's going to pan out. I'm with you guys. I think it's a great choice. It certainly wasn't on my list either, but as soon as I heard it and I pictured it, I go, yeah, like, makes a lot of sense. As I mentioned, he's one of those actors. He shows up in a lot of different things, but he's always great. He's just this really reliable, strong component to whatever movie he's in. And so I think he especially has the age and the gravitas and, the presence to be Jim Gordon. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I did see someone say or they tweeted out that he has the biggest character trait that Commissioner Gordon needs, and that's looking tired all the time.
That's true. That's very true.
The one thing I thought of with this too is after seeing, Zendaya rock the red hair and everything at the Emmys this week, it's like, well, she could be Barbara.
You just jumped ahead of me, you bastard.
Oh, sorry, did I?
But I mean, okay, there you go. That's what I was just about to say. Is I'm like, okay, so the elephant in the room is that Jeffrey Wright is black, or at least half black. Is he half black or full black? I don't know, but he's black.
Let's not go into, because last time you and Jamie talked about that sort of thing, you guys got in trouble. So
that's true, because you can't even mention that someone's black anymore, I guess.
No.
But Jeffrey Wright's black. Sorry, I'm saying it. Which I have no issue with. Like we've mentioned that before. Is like I don't really have an issue with race swapping characters, any characters. Like literally, like it just doesn't bother me. For years, there were rumors that Beyonce wanted to be Wonder Woman. I was like, hell yeah, do it. Great. I'm into that. So it doesn't bother me. But then it does create a situation where then Barbara Gordon has to also be black or at least mixed. And so that really messes up our fan casting.
Oh, as Jeremy pointed out on Real Fans, just to be a shit stirrer, is like she could be adopted.
Well, that's true too. But I mean, and you kind of jumped right where I was thinking, where I was like, well, I mean, if they announced Zendaya as Barbara Gordon, I'd be like, hell yeah, let's do it, because she's awesome too. So it does just kind of change that now who we're looking at for Barbara.
Potentially, yeah.
I mean, exactly. It doesn't have to, but probably.
It's like, because when I posted in Real Fans on the thread about Jeffrey Wright, I said, now they'll probably get a person of color for Barbara, and Jeremy Lloyd was like, why? And I wrote back, science?
Genetics?
Yeah.
So anyway, just something to consider then as they move forward with either a Batgirl movie or whatever might be happening in Birds of Prey or whatever. So, unless Barbara ends up being Alfred's niece, in which case she can be purple. It doesn't matter.
That's canon.
Yeah, obviously.
There's precedence.
Anyway, the other casting news that came out, and this one again feels a little stronger rumor, but it seems like allegedly there's talks happening, and that is that Jonah Hill is in talks for a mystery role. I don't want to say unspecified, but a mystery role. So we don't know what role it is. There's some speculation out there. The most prevalent speculation is the Penguin, as well as possibly the Riddler. But I've also heard some fans say Harvey Bullock, and the Mad Hatter. So, Justin, thoughts on Jonah Hill just in general? Any of these roles jump out to you that you think he'd be great for?
We obviously all immediately will think of Penguin, but I actually really do think he would make an intense Riddler. I would be fine with whatever they cast him as. I would love for him to be Harvey Bullock, but I would also rather him be a villain because he'll probably have a bigger role if he is. I think he'd be a great choice for the Batman.
All right, cool. Brendan, thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's a really good actor. I see him more of as an Oswald Cobblepot role, obviously, rather than an Edward Nygma. But when someone threw out the Harvey Bullock thing, that sort of I'm actually interested in seeing him do that, because we've never had a big screen Harvey Bullock. I mean, we've only ever had the one live action Harvey in Gotham, which had its moments. But yeah, I'd be okay with either Penguin or Bullock, I reckon.
All right. He's actually playing Lieutenant Eckhart.
Okay.
So that's fun.
That too.
Yeah, that's fun. Let me start with just Jonah Hill in general. I like Jonah Hill a lot. I think he's talented. I like him a lot. But I am having a hard time seeing him in most of these potential roles. I think he's very talented, and he's certainly come a long way from like his only comedic roles. He did that what was that movie? War Dog? Something like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he did that, and then of course Wolf of Wall Street. But even those roles,
Moneyball, was that another one? Where
Moneyball. Moneyball was awesome, but so he's certainly stretched his wings a bit, and he has gone beyond just doing comedies. But all of those roles in those movies still very much felt within his range. The movies were a little more serious, a little more dramatic, but he was still kind of playing to type. And so I've never really seen him play out of type. And that's my concern, is I'm like, it doesn't mean he doesn't have it in him. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm willing to let him blow me away. I've just never seen him step too far outside of his box. And that's where I have a little bit of hesitation. Of all those roles, the one I like the most is Harvey Bullock, if I'm being honest, just because I can see him as Harvey Bullock super easily. I think the most likely is the Penguin, and I think that is good. And I hope that he's got a really diabolical dark side that he's been waiting to show us that will come out if he ends up playing Oswald Cobblepot. Mad Hatter, I think, could be fun and a little off center, which I like. But Riddler, God no. Please don't make me wait this long for the Riddler and make it Jonah Hill. He's just not the Riddler. Like,
no, I don't see it.
Casting for the Riddler?
What was that?
Who was your fan casting for the Riddler again?
My fan casting was Matt Smith.
Okay.
And I stand by that. But there are a lot of other great options out there for Riddler. Who else did I say? I said...
I can't remember.
I had two. I had at least two. I had Edward Norton as a Riddler. I had Eddie Redmayne as a Riddler. All of these I would choose over Jonah Hill. So
I think, didn't Eddie Redmayne just say he wanted to be the Riddler?
He did say that, which makes me go, oh, he's never going to get the job now. He just jinxed him.
Yeah.
He just jinxed himself. But, yeah. Oh, that was the other person, Zachary Quinto. I said that too.
That's right. I still haven't seen Maniac, the Netflix series, to see how he is in that. So that could change my opinion.
Oh, the Emma Stone one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is the next big Batman movie. I'm rooting for everyone in this movie. But yeah, Jonah Hill isn't one that I immediately go, oh, hell yeah. Like, it's more like, okay, I hope you know what you're doing. You know, that's where I'm coming from. So anyway, that is interesting. It is exciting to just see the movie picking up steam, and casting conversations are happening, and more is coming, and it's great. I can't wait. So more on that as it develops. But we are getting a new DC movie in now 1 week from today.
Yeah, 1 week today for me.
As of this recording.
See with Jamie?
The plan is I think I will probably see it with Jamie. We haven't confirmed a time or a place, but I'm pretty sure we're going to make it happen, which is exciting.
It'll have to be between football games, of course.
Obvi. Oh, wait, but we're supposed to go on a Monday, and that isn't Monday Night Football. Oh, so maybe I won't be seeing it with Jamie. I don't know.
Surely he'd make an exception if you're in town.
I would hope, but you never know. So anyway, we're getting a movie in a week as of this recording, and we thought, hey, what a great time, since there's going to be an entire movie based on Joker, diving deeper into Joker. For a while, we've been wanting to do the graphic novel Joker from 2008. And so I think that, Brendan, you brought it up as well, and it was one of those that was always kind of on the to-do list anyway. Timing worked out. So we thought, hey, now is a great time to prepare for the movie, is to look into the 2008 graphic novel Joker. So this graphic novel was written by Brian Azzarello, and the artwork is by Lee Bermejo. This was released in October of 2008, and it is somewhat infamous. And so I guess what we'll do is we'll treat it like a movie. We'll start spoiler-free, and for people who have not read it, we'll give a spoiler warning, just to be respectful, but that's kind of where we'll go. So it's a pretty quick read. You can get through it in less than an hour. which is nice.
Definitely.
And I read it 1 3/4 times.
Okay.
So I read it on a flight last week, and then I wrote it on my bus ride back to my apartment today and got through 3/4 of it. So I forgot how it ends. You guys will have to help me.
I read it this afternoon. So
okay, good.
It's pretty fresh, but yeah.
I'll let you take the lead. I'm just going to sit in the back seat for once.
I don't know it that well, but I do have it sitting in front of me.
Great. Anyway, so it's something of an Elseworlds tale, or at least it's a different take. So like, it's not really in continuity. It's a different look for most of the characters, including the Joker himself, but it doesn't necessarily have to be out of continuity. Because I don't think that anything happens in it that you're like, oh, that's not canon. Not really. Not that I can think of. Is there any? What do you guys think?
Not really, no.
Yeah, no. Really.
Aside from what's with the Penguin being called Abner?
That's a great question. I was hoping one of you guys would know.
The very first time I read it, I was very confused, and I looked it up, and that it's some kind of insult towards penguins.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's like a pet name for him.
Okay.
Because, yeah, like, I looked up, like, penguin aliases, and we talked a little bit about he had one that, like, went away pretty quickly that was Mr. Boniface.
Mm.
And then, but he's pretty much been Oswald Cobblepot for the entirety of his existence. So, yeah, like, Abner, I was like, I just thought, oh, maybe Azzarello was trying to create a new continuity where in this one, he's not Oswald Cobblepot. He's Abner Tubby Jeans or something. I don't know.
Maybe Abner's the penguin version of that name you call me all the time.
It could be. It could be. So yeah, maybe it's just like a somewhat insulting pet name that he uses.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, it's standalone. You can read it on its own, and it's fine. So we'll start spoiler-free reactions and thoughts about the book, and then we can talk about spoilers when the time comes. So Justin, you've read this before.
Yeah, I read it one time. Didn't really remember it too much. Once I read it again, everything came back. But I love Lee Bermejo's art and anything that he does. I think that this came out in 2008 and just a few months after The Dark Knight, and I'm surprised because I think the Joker looks just like Heath Ledger, and I'm sure that was intentional. But then I also noticed some parallels to Leto with this character, so I'm sure they drew from some of it with the club owning aspect of this character. But I liked the read. I thought it was good. I like Brian Azzarello too.
All right, nice. Brendan, what are your thoughts?
When this first came out, I remember loving it, and I've read it a few times over the years, and it's always been in my head of, oh yeah, this is one I love that one, and I haven't read it for a long time, and I read it again today, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I love this one. Like, it's sort of my memory of it was, it's good, and it's beautiful to look at, but I mean, everything that Lee Bermejo does is beautiful to look at. Yeah, I was probably a little bit surprised that I didn't like it as much as I thought that I did.
Interesting. But I'm kind of the same way. So I had owned it already. I had read it a couple years ago. I read it on a cruise. I distinctly remember that. I was on a cruise ship. I loaded up my iPad with comics, and this was one of them. So I can picture myself reading it the first time in the coffee shop on the cruise ship. And I hadn't read it since then. So I remembered very little about it. But as Justin said, I do remember that they definitely pulled some stuff for Suicide Squad, for the movie, from this book. A little bit. Like the character of Johnny Frost, most specifically. They pulled him right from this book, and he is in Suicide Squad. But I didn't remember any of the details, so it was cool to revisit it, because it will be very interesting next week to see if anything from this ends up in the Joker movie. My guess is no. But
yeah,
who knows?
I'm probably on the same page there. I don't think it will, but
there's certainly been speculation that it might, but we'll see. But no, like I like it, but yeah, I don't quite love it, and I guess
not much that happens in it.
And I think that's exactly it. Is like the story is very basic. And it's less about the story and just more about the mood and the feel and the artwork and seeing the reimagined versions of all of these iconic characters. It's more interested in that, and it's almost like a day in the life movie that Richard Linklater would do.
Yeah.
And it's through Johnny Frost's eyes.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, it's not a day, but it's essentially like 2 weeks in the life of the Joker through the eyes of his henchmen. And so the story is just the Joker going about his business and how he his run-ins with other villains around Gotham and how he interacts with those different villains in Gotham. And that's kind of the fun of it, is to see how Azzarello and Bermejo reimagined a lot of the villains, and some are only slightly different than what you're used to seeing, and some are pretty drastic reimaginings. They did both, but it felt like that was kind of what they were going for, is like, it was just, hey, here's what it's like to work for the Joker. Here's seeing the Joker not from Batman's perspective, but from someone who's closest to him, at least for this week. Which is an interesting take, but yeah, like not a lot happens. There's no like great overall story. There's no big overall meticulous villainous plot. It's just the Joker getting out of Arkham and wreaking some havoc for a few weeks.
Yeah.
I love how you just said who's closest to the Joker this week, because that's so his character.
Yeah, and I mean, and that is sort of what's interesting about this, is that Johnny Frost is, he's kind of a loser. He's got an ex-wife who divorced him. He's been in jail 5 times.
Yeah.
And he's got nothing going for him. So he kind of feels like his path to glory is to cozy up to the Joker. Mm-hmm. And you kind of understand that, but you also, like, us as the readers know the Joker and know that that never is going to end well.
No. What's blown my mind is that you said that they actually had Johnny Frost in Suicide Squad, which I just had to do a bit of a Google on, and I never realized that it was the same character.
I don't think they even say his name in the movie.
Probably not, but his IMDb is listed as Frost, and he's definitely the Joker's sort of right-hand man, so...
Yeah. So I just remember when he was cast, they were like, oh, he's cast as Johnny Frost, and then it was pointed out, oh, from the Joker graphic novel. So that's the only reason I remember that. But in the movie, he's there, he's being the Joker's right-hand man, but I don't think they ever call him by name. Mm. So I enjoy it for what it is. I think it's really interesting and unique, and I think that there's some fun to be had. I love Lee Bermejo's art, but I don't love it in this one.
Okay.
And here's the reason why. And it's probably intentional. Is like the artwork in this is kind of gross.
Yeah.
It's like unappealing, and I think that's the point. I think that's what he's going for, but it's just like, I like artwork where I'm like, oh God, that's gorgeous. Oh God, that's so cool. Oh God, that's badass. Where I'm like this, like there's this frame of like the Joker eating shrimp, and it's just disgusting. And I'm like, and again, maybe that's what he wants me to feel, but like my favorite graphic novels or my favorite comic books is artwork where I'm like, I want to put that on my wall. And in this, I'm like, I don't want any of this ugly shit on my wall. Like, it's gross.
I think it's kind of, this is, I know, not going to make a lot of sense, but to me, it's a pretty gross, if that makes sense. Like, it's still, to me, it's still very, like, I can still look at it and go, it's nice. Gross. Yeah, like, it's really nice to look at, but it is obviously, darker and dirtier, and yeah, it's gross, but I still like it.
That's okay. Well, I'll tell you, can I tell you what artwork I really like on this one?
What's that?
Since I'm already in trouble.
Harley.
Yeah. Woo. Oh man.
You know what's funny is whenever anyone mentions this comic, the first image that comes into my mind is the image of her pulling on like her hood.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's the first image I think of, and that one and the one with the Joker crying.
Interesting.
In her lap, that one.
Yeah.
And she has no dialogue in this.
No, she's just kind of dead.
Which is interesting, because, yeah, Harley is usually all personality, and in this one, she's sort of the silent right hand.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the way Lee Bermejo draws her.
No arguments here.
If that's okay.
I also think that a lot of people don't capture the Joker's wittiness all that well, but I thought Azzarello captured it.
Well, yeah, I think that Azzarello's take on the Joker is really strong because it's that unpredictability that he really nails. He's not laughing and cackling all the time. He's got, these mood swings, and, like, I don't know, I just think that, like, one thing the book does really well is because it puts you in Johnny's shoes, you feel on edge spending that much time with the Joker the same way Johnny would.
I
think that deal with. Go ahead, Brandon.
I was going to say, the part that always particularly reading it today, where I was just like, I really felt that was, when they're in the car and Johnny's saying he's hungover, and the Joker offers him pills, and he's like, I can't take that. And the Joker, like, just turns and is like, what, I take pills, you think you're better than me? And he's, like, threatening the shit out of Johnny. And, he's got his hand around his mouth or his throat or something. And Johnny's just like, no, I can't swallow them dry.
Right. Well, so I guess at this point, let's put out a spoiler warning. I mean, I don't think it's that.
I thought we were over it.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
We just started. The conversation just takes on a life of its own. But it's fine. Like, the book, I think, is on DC Universe, so that makes it nice and easy for you if you live in the United States. But we all like it. It sounds like Justin is the biggest fan of it. But it's definitely worth your time. Again, it's a pretty quick read. The art is very unique. It's very cool. It's a very unique take on these characters. I do think that Azzarello captures the spirit of the Joker. So definitely give it a read. But we are going to speak spoilery specifics now. I don't think that's too bad, Brendan. I don't think it'll be too mad that they're like, oh no, now I know that Johnny can't take pills dry. You ruined the book for me. And we spoiled the fact that Harley looks really hot in it, so that's just to get you to read it, really. I'll tell you who doesn't look hot: the freaking Joker. It's disgusting.
I have a question actually with that look of the Joker, and Justin said before, like, it coming out in 2008, and it is very reminiscent of Heath Ledger's Joker. I could be wrong, but I think I remember hearing or reading something, this is years ago, where each one didn't know what the other one was doing. Like, it was pure coincidence that the Joker looked that way in this comic and in the movie. I don't know if that's true or not, or if I'm remembering something else, but can either of you remember, pre-Dark Knight? Because I can't. Like, did they ever draw the Joker with the smile being scars? Because to me, it was everything I'd seen prior to the Dark Knight. It was always that Richter's grin, like that's what his face was.
Yeah, I don't recall anything where it was a scar.
Yeah, I don't either. I feel like I had always heard fans say that. Like, I feel like once they announced that the Joker was going to be in the sequel to Batman Begins, well, we knew that because of the end of Batman Begins, but I remember at that point fans going, oh, he should have a cut smile on his mouth. I remember hearing that, like, as a description, but I do think that, the first ones to do it were The Dark Knight and then this.
Because, like, this one, like, the way the scars are and, like, it's just the angle they're on, and with Joker having the long hair, like, if it wasn't intentional, it's one hell of a coincidence. Like, that, it's insane.
I mean, I have a hard time believing it was coincidence.
Yeah.
Because they're a business, right? So they know that there's this big Batman movie coming out that is going to redefine who the Joker is. They want to capitalize off of that. And even if they're not talking to each other, even if they're literally like, oh, the studio's making this movie about Batman and the Joker, we need to, let's get something Joker out there that people will want to buy after seeing this big movie. And the movie takes a lot longer to make than a comic book.
True.
And so, like, I feel like the first photos of Heath Ledger could have already been out once they decided to do this, and they were like, okay, we're not doing that Joker, but hey,
Jeez, he looks good.
Let's do it in the same spirit because, hey, that's just smart business. More people are going to be interested in this. Because then the way they approach the other villains in this, it's like they were trying to do Nolan's job for him and be like, okay, you already did the Joker and our Joker's going to be similar, but here's how you could do Killer Croc and here's how you could do the Riddler. And like it was like they wanted to take that Nolan aesthetic or that Nolan take and then apply it to these other characters.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is a route Nolan could have taken if Heath Ledger had not died for a third Batman movie?
I mean, sure. I don't see why not. I will say that, like, I think if Heath Ledger had stayed around, he would have appeared in the third movie, but I don't think it would have been all. I don't think it would have been as Joker heavy. Yeah, okay. Yeah. He could have, of course he could, if he could have done whatever he wanted, but I think he would have been more of kind of a glorified cameo or a wild card here and there. But yeah, no, I just think that this more quote unquote real world take on these villains definitely feels like they were capitalizing off of what Nolan was doing in the movies.
Croc's essentially Michael Clark Duncan.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. With slightly bad acne.
Yeah.
So I will say, like, Croc, I don't like because it's so subtle that I'm like, no, man, like, his name's Killer Croc. Give me a damn crocodile. I don't need to see a muscular guy with bad skin. Like, no, give me a crocodile. But that's just me.
Yeah, I'm more a fan of the sort of more the animated series Croc. I like it when it, no pun intended here, when it's scaled back. But you are right, though, not to the point where it's just sort of like a big bald dude with acne. I do want to see some, Croc-like features, though.
Right. So, yeah, like, Croc I felt was a little too reined in. I think Harley's great, obviously, but Harley is pretty comics accurate. They didn't do much to her.
Yeah, it's just the personality they changed.
Yeah.
and her day job.
That's true, too.
I thought Penguin looked great.
Yeah, he looks good.
Abner.
Yeah, Penguin looks really good. The only difference is I don't think you see him with a top hat, but otherwise he's pretty much Penguin. Mm-hmm. Two-Face is kind of similar to what we got in The Dark Knight.
It's not far off.
Yeah.
It's do you know what it's like? It's like if two people were given the same description of Two-Face but weren't allowed to see each other's work.
Well, I was going to say, if you using the theory of, they would have potentially seen some shots of the Joker or like a first trailer or something while this was being made, you didn't see Two-Face. Like, they kept that quiet. Like, until the movie came out, there was no shots of Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face. Yeah,
exactly. But I distinctly remember when everybody thought the Riddler was going to be in the third Dark Knight movie, a lot of fans did point to this and go, there you go. You can do the Riddler like in the Joker graphic novel because it's a more quote unquote real world Riddler.
Yeah.
And I don't love it.
I don't really like it.
What I think it's interesting is that they made the Riddler disabled.
Yeah.
So that his cane is actually functional. It's not just flair. He literally needs the cane because if you look at his legs, he is disabled.
But how's he going to twirl it around and yell out joygasm if he has to lean on it all the time?
Why do you do this, Brandon? But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. And I kind of get the rationale because the Riddler, it's about his brain, right? So they essentially really make it about his brain because they make his body damaged. But yeah, like I don't love the look, and it's maybe a bit much for me. So I'm glad that that's not the Riddler we got.
Yeah,
like the tattoos around his belly and everything. Like,
I'm sure that's where Tom King got the question mark on his chest from.
Yeah.
I mean, with the Riddler, I'm just that way where it's like, just give him some effing question marks on his clothes. Like, don't overthink it. Just do it.
No, I feel that about 90% of every comic book character. Where I'm like, just do it. Just do that. Why is that so hard? Why can't you just make that?
And it's weird too. Like, I don't particularly like the purple glasses. I'm like, just give the guy a mask.
Yeah. So anyway, who else? Go ahead.
Have you seen what's going on in the comics with the Riddler?
Not currently. I've fallen out of the comics recently, so I'm not sure what's happening right now.
He's about to drop the name the Riddler, probably.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Lex Luthor made him this offer to challenge himself and to stop being a little child and playing off your childhood win of fooling people. And so he said he needs to get better, and the issue ended with him throwing off his suit and his cane and hat or whatever, and that he's going to become someone else.
It won't last.
Yeah. I mean, who was it? Did Paul Dini write him as where he sort of dropped the Riddler persona to? I mean, he was still the Riddler, but he was going by Edward Nygma and was. I'm trying to stretch my memory here, but like he was working on cases to help the police or something. Like, I think it was in Dini's run for detective. I can remember that being a thing.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'd have to double check my shelf, but that rings in my mind as something that they did where he was helping out as Edward Nygma, putting his brain to use. But at the end of the day, he was still the Riddler, which is why it was okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure this is just it's a story arc, but eventually he'll loop back around. They always do. So I think those are like all the characters, but we were talking earlier about how one of the strengths of the book, I think, is just really capturing how scary and unpredictable the Joker can be. And there's a moment where like Killer Croc is late, and the Joker's like, "You're late," and he goes, "Is that a problem?" And the Joker's like, "No, I was late too. It's fine."
Yeah.
And then later on, Johnny's late. And the Joker's like, "You're late." And he goes, "Is that a problem?" And he nails him right in the nuts.
He Rochambeaus him.
And it's like, oh, damn. Like, you thought you could get away with what Croc did. Oof. But it's way harsh.
He makes that deal with Tommy Bang Bang and then goes back in and kills him.
Yeah. He does that a lot. He's, like, trying to get in touch with Harvey. And, like, Harvey won't answer the phone. And so at first he's like, "Oh, well, whatever, he's probably doing this. And like then he gets himself all worked up and angry.
Smashes the phone.
Yes, and smashes the phone, and he kills a guy with a broken bottle and ends up blowing up the entire club. All because Harvey wouldn't answer the phone.
Things like that, that's what makes him my
Harvey?
Second favorite Batman character. Yeah, a good one.
Yeah, he really loves torturing Harvey about his two personas. He's really into that. But no, and then and you mentioned earlier, Brendan, there's this moment where Johnny sees the Joker like crying and hugging Harley, which is so odd.
And there's no explanation for it. It's just there.
It's the something of a tragic figure, aside from just being a terrifying psychopath.
And it's kind of a role reversal too, in some ways, because I'd never pictured in my head, a scene where you would have Joker crying and Harley just sitting there looking straight ahead as if to go, "Yeah, okay, whatever." Like that's something that you think would play out the other way around.
Right.
That's what Harley
she needs him. He doesn't need her. That's always the way it's been.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Justin, you said something?
Oh, just that's what Harley always wants him to do and show her emotion.
Yeah. But like really, so this is, again, the whole thing is the Joker comes out of Arkham. He's trying to get control of Gotham back. Everybody assumed he was in Arkham for good. They spent all his money. Harvey's taken over Gotham. And so, like, yeah, it's mostly a turf war between Joker and Two-Face. And so at a certain point, the Riddler comes in because the Joker wants something to use against Two-Face, and he gets this briefcase. And I need your guys' help because, like, they never really show what's in the briefcase, but I think it's information about Harvey's wives. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a little... It's not very clear because, yeah, later in the comic, Joker goes on about polygamy and this whole thing. Like, it's... Yeah, it's odd.
It's super odd because, yeah, I was like, okay, like this briefcase is important. He bothers getting it from the Riddler, and then there's talk of like being married and love, and then he says, yeah, polygamy. So like, it's implied that Harvey has 2 wives.
Well, Sugar and Spice.
Stop it.
Sorry, it's low-hanging fruit, but it was right there.
And so, but they never actually showed like the Joker using the briefcase as leverage.
Yeah, to be honest, I completely forgot about the briefcase until you just brought it up.
No, it's confusing. I read the scene multiple times where I'm like, what am I missing here? and I guess that comes back to like maybe some of the issues with it is for a story that's this simple, you don't set up a briefcase and then fail to pay it off. Like, you got the time. What the hell's going on?
Agree.
It's not a long read, but it's also not the easiest read, I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's true. I did like the little switcheroo though, because when the Joker and Harvey have their meeting, it's at the zoo, and Harley was posing as one of the gorillas.
That was kind of funny.
Which is kind of awesome. Like, and so that's how she gets the jump on all of Harvey's bad guys.
I wonder if they got that idea from Batman and Robin.
Obviously. But like Harvey like calls in Johnny and is like, listen, this is gonna end badly for you. You can't trust the Joker. He's your friend right now, but he will kill you. And Johnny's too stupid to listen. But he doesn't tell Joker about this meeting. And so this is something that's like super subtle that I missed the first time and I didn't catch until the second time, is that so like Harvey kidnaps Johnny's ex-wife.
Yes.
To use as leverage. And so like when this whole meeting goes down, he reveals, oh, I've got his wife, and he's like, that's Johnny Frost. And the Joker's like, you guys know each other, and Harvey's like, yeah, we've met. He hasn't told you? And so to get back at for the Joker to get back at Johnny, he rapes his ex-wife.
Oh. I haven't picked up on that.
Yeah, that went right over my head as well.
It's subtle. Like they don't underline it, but it's there because right after that whole thing goes down and he goes, okay, Johnny, grab your girl. And the next scene is of her in the car crying and the Joker buckling his pants. Oh my God. And he says, okay, Johnny, I guess we're even now.
I'm going back through my comic because it must be really subtle because I cannot picture that. Yeah. Oh, shit.
Which is pretty awful.
Yeah, you're not wrong. No, it's definitely there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
So I was like, man, that's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Eventually,
I didn't pick up on that at all. And
neither did I. Yeah, I was like, oh, how did I miss that?
To that, to the room with the 2 old people and just like he doesn't care who they are, he just slaughters them anyway.
Right. Eventually, Batman does make an appearance. And this was one where, honestly, I remembered Batman not even being in this. But he does show up at the very, very end. So Harvey actually calls Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially...
I thought that was an interesting twist.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's kind of cool that Harvey calls Batman on the Joker.
And makes his own bat signal.
Yep. And so, like, that's where everything kind of comes to a head, is Batman finally does get the drop on Joker. And it's this big final confrontation on a bridge, and that's where the Joker, just because it was convenient, he turns on Johnny. And there is this interesting theme throughout earlier on where Johnny says, he tells this story about, oh, I went camping and I found a frog, and I used to keep this frog as a pet, and I would feed him bugs, and I used to take him up to the roof of my building so he could hop around. And one day there were these older kids, and they started picking on me, and they said that they were going to kill my frog. They were going to throw him off the roof. And so he said they were going to, I knew they were going to, and I couldn't let them do that to me, so I threw the frog off the roof. Which sort of comes back at the end here, because as there's this big confrontation between the Joker and Batman, Johnny gets caught in the crossfire. Joker ends up shooting Johnny, and then Johnny jumps off the bridge himself. Mm-hmm. So instead of letting the Joker kill him, he kills himself.
Yeah.
Which is how it ends.
And that last scene too, everything sort of goes black and white almost, and it's only the blood really that has any color to it.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Those 2-3 pages with Batman, I think both of them did a good job at capturing their rivalry.
Definitely. I mean, and I do love, I really like the way Bermejo draws Batman.
I love it.
I think it's so cool.
It's second only to Jim Lee for me. I love his Batman.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But yeah, so Harvey's warning is almost fulfilled. But Johnny ends up, he'd rather go out by his own hand than by the Joker's.
This is on the topic of the Joker, but nothing that really happens in the book. But I just want to know what you guys think with the Joker. Do you think he gets the credit for his intelligence? I mean, I think he's just as smart, if not, or almost, if not just as smart as Batman, but I don't think some people realize that.
I think in his own way, yes. You know, he obviously is.
He's just crazy.
But yeah, it's more about the crazy than anything. It's not calculating, but you're right. Like, he certainly, I mean, look at The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
How meticulous those plans were. For a guy without a plan, he has the most meticulous plans of all time.
Yeah.
So no, I think you're right. Like, the Joker, he is crazy, he is dangerous, he is scary, but you're right. He's incredibly smart. He's a genius because he continues to be Batman's biggest challenge.
Yeah.
And that's not by brawn.
Yeah, because, he's just going to get beat to a pulp every time like he always does.
Right. So, no, I agree with you. I think that you're right. When we talk about the Joker, we don't often talk about how smart he is, but he is. The evidence is there. There's that scene earlier on in the strip club when we meet Harley where he skins the dude.
Oh, that was brutal.
Yeah.
Oh, man, like where I guess it's the dude who should have gone to pick him up, and the guy didn't. He was too scared to, so he's the one who sent Johnny Frost to pick him up. And so Joker came back, and he had a drink with him. He hung out with him at the strip club, and then he skins him and slaps $1 to his ass.
It's his own dollar too.
Well, didn't he get it from Johnny? Didn't he say, "Hey, Johnny, give me your $1"?
I thought he got it from the guy that he skinned.
Oh, did he?
I can't remember. Let me have a look. I thought it was the guy's $1. He gave it back to him. Where is it?
Yeah, he says, "Johnny, in your pocket, you have $1."
Oh, it was Johnny. Okay.
Well, I see what page it is. You weren't reading.
Because he had his arm around the guy that he was about to skin. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's where I got confused. I almost wish it had been his own $1 though. That would have been even that little bit more twisted.
That's true. I do like that he calls in the Penguin, and Croc goes to get the Penguin, and the Joker forces the Penguin to invest his money. And even Johnny is kind of like, see, now that's what I want. That's power, is when you can get your enemies to do what you want, even if it's what they don't want.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually kind of cool and kind of interesting, too. Good old Abner.
Did you guys catch, I think it was towards the end of it, he and Johnny were going, I believe, back to Joker's apartment or wherever he lives, and the window was broke open, so they turned right back around.
Yeah, Joker knew what that meant.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, then why don't you give some closing thoughts on Joker? Apparently, fun fact. Apparently, so Azzarello and Bermejo originally did a Lex Luthor book that was called Lex Luthor, Man of Steel.
Yes.
And this was going to be called Joker, The Dark Knight.
Oh.
But because the movie had just come out, they were like, oh, we probably shouldn't have Dark Knight in the title. It's too much. And so they just went with Joker.
Oh.
Have either of you read the Luthor one?
I have not.
I have.
I
like
can't
this one,
remember if I have.
So you said you like this one better, Justin?
Yeah, because I don't really remember the Luthor one, but after reading this, I'll probably go back and read that.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I even knew they did a Lex Luthor one. I only found that out when I was looking up stuff on this, and I was like, oh, well, I'll be damned. So, yet again, Batman's world overshadows Superman's.
I know I bought it a little while, well, maybe a year or so ago when Comixology had a huge DC sale. I bought a bunch of trades, but I can't remember if it's one that I've read yet or not.
That I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever they have a sale, I go crazy, and then it just waits for me to get to it.
That's why I haven't, the last few times there's been DC sales, I've intentionally not gone onto Comixology because it's like I have so much to read already, so it's just not. And they have sales all the time, so.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, why don't we do some closing thoughts on Joker, Justin?
I did enjoy it. Like we said, there's not too much that goes on. I don't really see myself visiting this anytime soon in the future, but I enjoyed it. I love the Joker, so I'll always read anything with him in it.
Cool. Brendan?
I did like reading it again, but like I said at the start, I didn't love it as much as I remembered loving it previously. That said, though, like I said, to me, I think it's a great book in terms of the aesthetic. I love the art. The story's not the best, but it has some really good moments. And the Joker that's coming out, next week, it's weird. It's a DC movie, and I don't have the same sort of excitement or fever pitch that I do usually when there's a new DC movie coming out. This one's a little bit different. But reading this today sort of did get me in the mood and got me even just that little bit more excited for this time next week.
Nice. Yeah, and I mean, I feel very much the same way. I certainly enjoy reading it. I think it's very interesting. I think it's good. I think the art is really interesting as well. So it's a cool, very unique take on not just the Joker, but seeing Batman's entire world through a slightly askew lens. So if you're into that, of being like, oh, I want to read a slightly different take on the Joker and the Penguin and Killer Croc and everything, I think this is definitely worth your time. And it's a good read. It's a pretty quick read. And it has become somewhat, I don't know if maybe classic is overstating it, but it's become well regarded, I guess we can say that. And people tend to like it. It seems to have lasted the test of time because I still hear people talk about it and I hear people refer to it. So it is one of those that if you're a Batman fan, or especially if you're a Joker fan, I think that you'll enjoy it. So pick it up. It's not my all-time favorite. For me, I would have liked the story to go a little deeper, but there's still a lot to like about it. And so check it out. Joker. From 2008, 11 years old.
I think in a week and a half's time, when people inevitably demand a sequel to the Joker movie, they're going to say that this needs to be the story because Batman does not need to be in it then.
That's true. I could definitely see that happening. Awesome. Well, cool. Joker. Good stuff. And then we will see what happens when the movie comes out next week. But Are you like, I can't wait, I want to watch more DC stuff now? Well, we got you covered, because we got all kinds of old shows that we continue to watch, and we are still making our way through Batman Beyond. And so, we're not letting up. I'm proud of us, how much we've committed. So, without further ado, it's time to move forward into the next episode of Batman Beyond. All right, so this is episode number 10, season 1, 10. It is called Spellbound. This one aired May 1st of 1999. So in this episode, we meet a new villain, another new villain. It's Spellbinder. He is a black and orange swirly swirl, and he rides a bee's butt. And so he has the power. Yeah, he has the power of like making you see an illusion, essentially a dream. Like he's able to put you in a dream that then can manipulate what you're doing and why. So maybe like Brendan is like, he's, he just ran the 5K, the Batman 5K. So he can make Brendan think he's back in that 5K. And so Brendan will just start running and everything. And while he's running around the house, and Jess thinks he's lost it. And like, that's what Spellbinder can do. And so Spellbinder uses this power to make people steal stuff for him. So he makes this teenage girl steal some priceless something from her house. It was very unclear as to what it was, but she thinks she's essentially Indiana Jones, and she's getting this idol, and she's throwing this idol in the river, but it's not an idol. It's some sort of priceless thing that once she throws it in the water, Spellbinder comes and snatches it up, and he sells it. And then she snaps out of it, and she's back in the real world. And this other guy, he thinks he's in the middle of a war, and he's saving a buddy, but his buddy is actually a priceless gown of some princess or something. And so, something like that. And so, yeah, Spellbinder is having these people see these dreams, and in the dreams, they essentially steal for him, and then he picks them up, and he goes. So Terry McGinnis is keeping an eye on this. The girl who had the issue is from his school, and he's like, this is not like her. That doesn't make sense. I believe her. There really must have been someone who messed with her, and Bruce doesn't believe him at first. And then after it happens the second time, Terry's like, see, I told you. And Bruce won't admit he's wrong because he's Bruce Wayne. He's just like, so go find him. Go stop him. We find out Spellbinder is actually, he's like the school psychologist. And he learns, like by talking to the students, he learns whose parents or whose families have money or have expensive things, and then those are the ones he goes after. So he eventually gets Terry McGinnis because he knows Terry is working for Bruce Wayne. And he makes Terry think that he's on Supermarket Sweep.
That was kind of funny.
And so Terry's like ransacking Wayne Manor, and Bruce finds him and snaps him out of it. And they're like, okay, now we know who it is and what he's doing. And so because Spellbinder thinks that Terry's still under his spell, he's just waiting outside, waiting for his loot. And so Terry goes out as Batman, kicks his butt, sends him off to jail. And Bruce and Terry are triumphant, and then Commissioner Gordon, Barbara Gordon, shows up. She was in the episode earlier. She like interviews the psychologist, and as soon as she did, I was like, oh, okay, so that's the bad guy. And then she comes back at the end, and she meets Terry, and I guess, is this the first time she's meeting Terry?
I think so.
I guess so. She's been in the show, but I think it was only with Bruce. I don't think that she had met Terry yet.
Yeah.
So she meets Terry, and she's like, oh, you're Bruce's new assistant. And she's like, take care of yourself. So she knows what's going on. She knows
exactly who he is.
Oh, of course. So that is Spellbound, more or less. So Justin, what did you think of Spellbound?
I've never seen any of the Batman Beyond show, but once you guys decided to binge the probably like the first 7 episodes, this was for me, it was okay. It was an okay episode, nothing to the caliber of the animated series, but there were a couple things that I thought were clever in the episode.
Brandon, thoughts?
Okay.
Here we go.
Strap in. No, I'm going to preface what I'm about to say by saying that I didn't dislike watching this episode. I actually had a good time watching it, and I didn't hate the episode. That said, this episode encapsulates so much of what I don't like about this series, and that is the villain is just a shittier version of the Mad Hatter, essentially. Like, it's the same sort of power with a ridiculous... I mean, obviously the Mad Hatter's costume is ridiculous, but, like, it's just... I don't like the look of a lot of the villains in this show. Like, Ink that we had earlier in it, and this one, it's the same. It's the same thing. It's just like a really bizarre bodysuit with swirls on it, and it's just like, okay, whatever. And like you said before, when you said Barbara was talking to the counselor, like 2 minutes into the show, it's like, well, it's him, because the thing is, and this is the problem you face when every episode essentially is you're building a rogues gallery from the ground up. You've got 20 minutes of story time, so the second you introduce a new character, that's the villain. Like, but they still play it as a mystery. And it's just kind of like, that's the good thing about having an established rogues gallery is, you know, like in Batman the Animated Series, for example, it's like an episode when, you know, the Joker shows up, or Penguin, whoever it may be, just straight away you're off to the races. You go, okay, well, this is a story about this character. Awesome, let's go. Whereas with Batman Beyond, they need, essentially every character needs a setup every single time. And it just bugs me. And the other thing too, and I know cartoon logic applies here, but just me being the way I am with this show, like his whole motive is to get back at people who didn't pay him what he thought he was worth, but then he's got enough money to have a fucking robot bee sting thing that he flies around on. It's just like, and then the other thing is too, every time that Terry or whoever else gets put under his spell, they just get a hit to the head and they're fine. But in the final battle, like, Terry's under his spell, he gets like 2 or 3 good hits to the head and he's still under the spell. It's like, dude, like, Bruce slapped you before and you were out of it. Like, you've been smacked in the head with 2 giant rocks now and you're still seeing it? What the hell? But yeah, like I said, I know it sounds like I didn't like the episode, but I actually had a good time watching it. But the whole time I'm just like, this is everything I don't like about this series.
Wow. Honestly, I don't disagree with you. It's fine. It's not a bad episode, but this is one of those disposable average episodes where it's just nothing important happens.
No.
It's just, this is a villain of the week episode, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, oh, here's a new villain, they're going to stop him, the end. Like, that's it. So, and I don't think Spellbinder is particularly compelling as a villain. See, interesting, you thought he was a different version of Mad Hatter. I thought he was a twist on the Scarecrow.
Well, it can go either way. See, Mad Hatter, for me, I always think of Perchance to Dream when he puts Bruce into that build. Yeah, that's what I go to.
So, see, I thought Mad Hatter because, like, I thought Scarecrow because instead of like, oh, I'm going to make you see your fears, it's like, oh, I'll just make you see what I want you to see. So it's just slightly different. But yeah, like, I agree with you. I don't like the Spellbinder design at all. The orange and black swirl, it just seems lazy to me.
Yeah.
I do like his weird bee butt flying thing. And I think I like it just because it's so weird. But, like, it's different, you know? I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. But, yeah, I don't like the way he looks. I don't like that, yeah, as soon as you see him, you go, okay, that's him. As soon as you see the psychiatrist, you go, oh, that's him. It was so obvious that I thought maybe they were going to pull a switcheroo on us with Terry's friend. Because for some reason, Terry has a friend in this one who gets
calls his mum a slut.
Essentially. But like Terry has this friend in this episode that gets a hell of a lot of dialogue. And so I was just kind of like, oh, well, like maybe they're trying to trick us. Maybe they want us to think it's the psychiatrist and it ends up being this other guy, because otherwise, why is he in so much of this episode? The answer is no real reason. He just is.
I think it's just to set up the mum.
I guess, yeah, it's just
victim.
another reason. Yeah. My favorite part is when Terry borrows a tux from Wayne Manor and it has the initials DG in it, which I think is awesome. I love that part. And the big final battle, Terry is under the spell and he sees zombies. So I kind of like that too. I like Batman versus zombies. It's, we're in Halloween season now, so I'll take it where I can get it. Does this count as part of my scare-a-thon?
Probably not.
What were you going to say, Justin?
Outside of Barbara Gordon, is there anyone from the Bat family that shows up in this series?
Oh, that's a great question.
Well, obviously,
not that I remember.
Obviously, Tim in the Joker movie, but
Yeah. In the Return of the Joker movie, Tim is in it. But I don't remember if Dick ever pops up in the show. Grow up, Brendan. Very mature. Bravo.
Hey, at least I'm not.
No one knows Dick better than you.
Apparently not. You gonna remix it again or what?
Maybe. I just need DJ Alfred to help.
Yeah.
Wicca. So no, I don't remember Dick Grayson ever popping up, but that doesn't mean he doesn't. I don't know the show that well. Okay. So like there are moments that I like. I liked the Dick Grayson nod. I like the zombies. I like the Barbara Gordon moment at the end, although I feel like her final line should have been delivered slightly differently because it should have.
And it just ends. That's another one where she walks away and it just cuts to credits.
Yeah. The show doesn't do a great job of the ends because I feel like we've said that on other episodes too. We're like, and then it's over.
Like there needs to be another scene or like just another couple of lines, but it just hard cuts to an end.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is like if you're gonna do a villain of the week episode, that episode will succeed or fall based on your villain, and I don't think Spellbinder's that good of a villain.
No, I second that.
All right, so letter grades for Spellbound, Justin.
B-.
All right. What about you, Brendan?
I'll go with my usual C.
I'm gonna go C-. I'll be the Debbie Downer this time. Not horrible, but like we've had a couple really good ones, like with the Royal Flush Gang and Mr. Freeze and yeah, this one just didn't do it for me. So anyway, Spellbound. So I'm sorry, did you say a B-, Justin?
Yes. Yeah.
B-, a C, and a C-. There you have it. Well, next time we get the return of Ink.
Oh, good.
In Disappearing Ink.
Of the newly created villains, I think she is my favorite so far.
I'm trying to think of who is her competition. I mean, I don't think you're wrong. So it would be Shriek, it would be the Heroes, Golem. I do that every time. Yeah, probably Ink. Anyway, next one, Disappearing Ink. She's back, and this time it's personal. So there you go. Keep on watching Batman Beyond with us, and keep writing us emails so we have something to read. So without further ado, let's check in with you fine folks as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Derek. What is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
First message here is from our pal Matthew Malecki. And Matthew, first of all, nice to hear from you. Second of all, you wrote me a novel, and you know how I love when people do that. So I'm going to have to edit. Here's what he says. He says, "Hey, Andy and Brendan, Jamie, who?"
He's off to a flying start.
It says, I love Batman Beyond. I watched it as it aired. I loved it that it was a continuation of Batman the Animated Series. I love the dynamic between Terry and Bruce. It's not completely dissimilar to Bruce and Dick's relationship, which I have also always loved. I think Friedel and Conroy have excellent chemistry, and I love the way they work Barbara Gordon into the series. Her relationship with Bruce and Terry is complicated, and I like that it's different from Bruce's relationship with Jim Gordon. I wish Dick Grayson would have had a presence on the show, because that could have been a lot of fun. Well, I guess maybe that's your answer.
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes on with lots of reasons that he loves the show. He loves the Easter eggs and references. He loves Will Friedle as Terry McGinnis, and he loves
that's probably a big part of it.
Which part?
The Friedle part, because we know Malecki loves Boy Meets World.
Oh, does he?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised. I like Will Friedle too. I think he's cool. Anyway, and then it says he loves that it's about like the next generation and why Gotham needs Batman. He says, I totally get why Brendan and the others aren't big fans, especially if they didn't watch it when it was new. I'm glad you guys are giving it a shot. I hope by the time you finish it, you've got a better appreciation for it. Oh, I'm sure you've heard, but I also recommend adding the Justice League Unlimited episode epilogue to your watch list, as it's the unofficial series finale. Cheers, Matt Malecki. Thank you, Matt. And we've mentioned epilogue, so yeah, of course, once we finish, we're going to definitely do that. And thanks for all the listeners out there who love Batman Beyond. I'm sure they were happy to hear that sparkling recommendation for the show. I don't think you're going to change our minds about it, but I already kind of like it. Like, you got to worry about Brendan, not me. Anyway, this is from Clarence Eugene. It says, hey, Holy BatCast family, do you think Anthony Hopkins would have been good as old Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond? When I watch Mask of Zorro, the scene with Anthony Hopkins training Antonio Banderas, I keep thinking Hopkins could play Bruce Wayne training Terry. Speaking of Mask of Zorro, do you like the movie? And what did you think of Anthony Hopkins as Zorro/Don Diego? Thanks for the message, Clarence. Justin, what do you think? Anthony Hopkins as old Bruce Wayne and The Mask of Zorro.
I've never seen that movie, so I can't speak to how he does in that movie, but I think and the only things I've seen him in that I can recall would be Westworld and then Thor. So I think he'd be an okay old Bruce Wayne for a Batman Beyond movie. He's not going to be doing much.
Right. Brendan.
I haven't seen that Zorro movie for a very long time, so I can't comment too much on it. Yeah, I don't know. I've always seen Anthony Hopkins more as an Alfred character.
Oh, totally.
So yeah, but I mean, it could potentially work.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty old now, but I mean, if they want an 80-year-old Bruce Wayne, I guess that would work, right? Anthony Hopkins is one of those guys I'll watch do anything. Can I say, this is off the subject, but like the Jim Carrey Grinch movie, I love Anthony Hopkins' narration. Like, his voice is so soothing. Like, I love his narration in that movie. So yeah, I think he could be really good. He would have to do an American accent. The Mask of Zorro is a delight. I love it. I think it's a great movie. I even like the sequel, which apparently is unpopular, but I like it. So I really liked that movie. I just rewatched it a few months ago, and it had been a while for me, and it holds up. It's a good time. Next message is from Adam Stabelli. It says, hey, Holy BatCasters. Hey, Holy BatCasters. Sometimes Jamie and frequently Brendan. Got it. I've noticed that the DC versus Marvel debate is something that happens every day on Twitter. Whenever the MCU announces something new, it's met with disdain by some DC fans. Whenever DC announces a project, it's met with scorn by Marvel fans. Am I the only one who's tired of it? We live in a golden age of comic-related media. We should celebrate it and not tear it down. I hope I'm making sense. Thanks, guys. Adam. Thank you, Adam. Justin, thoughts on the old Marvel versus DC?
It's tiring, and both sides are just as guilty of it, but it's always going to be there as long as these movies are around.
You know what it is? It's a tale as old as time. Anyway, Brendan?
Yeah, it does get a little bit much sometimes, but I know we've talked about it a lot privately and even on this show, sometimes it feels a little bit like, is it paranoia if they're really out to get you? But yeah.
I mean, yes, the back and forth gets exhausting. I try to stay out of it if at all possible. There's a reason I didn't talk about Endgame for months, because I didn't want to make it a thing.
Oh,
you
boy,
know.
But when you did,
well, at a certain point, when you get asked, you have to answer.
Yeah.
I couldn't plead the fifth if you're doing a podcast. But yeah, so I try to stay out of it. We all have our weak moments, though. But yes, it's exhausting, and all I can say is enjoy what you enjoy, and more power to you. And you're right. If you love something, great, love it. If you hate something, focus on the things you love. That's what I try to do. Again, I'm not perfect, but that's the best way to go. And for the people who are fighting, just ignore. Just don't look. Just don't look. Next message is from Willis Orr. It says, greetings, Bat Family. Do you think that Tom Hardy is underrated as Bane in The Dark Knight Rises? It seems I hear people on YouTube channels or other podcasts that there's always a negative response about Tom Hardy as Bane. Second question, what is your favorite Rocky movie? Why are you people asking us about Rocky every episode? What is that?
At least there's no Star Wars.
I think, just wait, I'm sure we'll find one. I feel like it's conspiracy. That's what I think. I think that a bunch of you guys have a secret email chain, and you're like, we're going to ask Holy BatCast about Rocky because it has nothing to do with Batman. That's what I think. Okay, anyway, Justin, thoughts on Tom Hardy as Bane, and sure, what's your favorite Rocky movie?
I have never seen any of the Rocky movies, so now listeners are probably going to lose their minds over that.
It doesn't. Do you know what? That's okay. Do you know why? Because this is a Batman show. You don't have to have watched a Rocky
Yes.
movie
And guess
to be
what?
on a Batman show.
I'm the same.
But Tom Hardy as Bane. Different take, very different take. But Tom Hardy as an actor is great, so I think he does well in the role. But a different take on the character.
Brandon?
Yeah, I actually pretty much ditto that. It's not the character that we know from the comics, but the version they gave us, he certainly gives a hell of a performance. It's not too dissimilar to the Joker in that regard, really. It's not the one from the comics, but I just think that the Nolan version of the Joker was better than the Nolan version of Bane.
I will say I love Tom Hardy as Bane. I love him. I could watch him all day long. I think that he and Anne Hathaway as Catwoman are the two best parts of that movie.
Oh,
I think they're both amazing. And it's sad to hear that there seems to be a negative opinion of his performance because he's so good in that movie. He's so good. Favorite Rocky movie? Rocky IV. I already said that in a previous episode. Next message is from Julian Chan. Good day, you magnificent bat. Thanks, Julian.
Can you tell he's Australian?
It says, I hope you're doing well. Number one, there's a lot of questions, Julian. Okay, it says, which DC character do you think could get the Joker treatment? I thought a Joe Pesci Penguin movie 20 years ago by Scorsese would have been amazing. Where would you speculate Dick's second tracker is? That's obviously a reference to Titans on DC Universe. Would you consider doing a fan cast episode on the New Gods? Would you consider doing a fan cast episode on X-Men on Real Fans? And 5, what is your favorite Star Wars vehicle? Ciao, Julian.
Jesus, Julian.
Okay, so Julian, we're not answering Star Wars vehicle. We're not doing it. Sorry. I'm drawing a line. We're not doing it. Okay. Fan cast episode on New Gods? Sure. I just need a character list. A fan cast episode on X-Men, that could be fun too. So we'll go to the other ones. If another DC movie is going to do a Joker, what should it be? Justin?
Reverse Flash. I've always
that's interesting.
by his character. Ever since Flash season 1, I've been in love with that character, and I think an Elseworld style movie, just like the Joker, I think that'd be great.
I like it. Brendan?
Do you have one in the chamber?
I do, but I can't take credit for it.
You go, because I'm still thinking.
So someone on Twitter said this. I don't remember who, but I'm stealing it because I love it. And they said a scarecrow horror movie in Gotham.
That'd be awesome.
And I'm like, yes? How can I make that happen tomorrow? So that's the answer I'm given. Like, yeah, do a scarecrow movie, and he has a reign of terror in Gotham, and set it at Halloween. Brendan?
I'm thinking maybe Harvey Dent. Like a real sort of like gritty crime drama, you know, very almost Scorsese-esque, you know, him going against the mob. And then, you know, again, Batman doesn't need to be in it. Because then you have, for the first time in cinema, well, actually no, because Batman Forever did it, and I'm not saying that to, you know, talk up Batman Forever, but they did, I just forgot. But actually have, like, Maroni throw the acid on the face and, you know. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And where's Dick's second tracker? Up his bum and around the corner.
So right up the ass.
Glad we're all on the same page there. The important things. Next message is from Rody Schiment. It says, hey, Andy and company, I don't have any Star Wars questions today. Thank you, Rody. Thank you for that. Also, all signs point to Joker being a critical and financial success. If it is, are there any other characters you would like to see done in a similar Elseworld style?
Oh my god, back to back.
Let me think. I'm thinking.
Wow.
I'm thinking Harvey Dent. What about you?
I say Scarecrow.
Okay.
Justin says Reverse Flash. He says, I think a gritty police drama about a young James Gordon dealing with corruption in Gotham would be fantastic. I would choose none other than Ben Affleck to direct it and cast Sterling K. Brown as young Gordon. I got a question for Jamie. Well, good luck.
Stiff shit.
My son is 3. He loves superhero toys and books, but for whatever reason doesn't have any interest in superhero cartoons or movies. I was curious what shows or movies you started your kids off and they started to get that age. Finally, I heard you guys mention you'll be in Florida around the time the Joker is released. I was curious if you're planning on going to Halloween Horror Nights. I haven't been in a few years, but when I saw they were doing Ghostbusters, I knew I had to make it happen. Thanks. Keep up the good work and have a great day. P.S. I don't know if you realize this, but between reviewing Futurama and Batman Beyond, you're doing future-based shows that started in 1999. That's just a funny coincidence. Rhodey. Great point, Rhodey, about Futurama and Batman Beyond. You're right. Futuristic shows from 1999. What are the odds? Halloween Horror Nights, duh. Of course I'm going.
That's why you're going back.
God, that's more important than anything. That's why I'm going. And then, yeah, we already answered about the other villain movies. As for what should you show your kid, Jamie isn't here, but I think you should show them Joker. Take him to see Joker.
Great introduction.
And that'll do it.
Because whether they want to or not, they'll be thinking about it.
That's true.
I think
what else?
Justice League Action.
Justice League. Oh, that's a good one. Good call. Justice League Action is a great one. I don't know, like...
The kids like the Teen Titans Go.
I know. Like, I'm trying to think of something that's not that, but if that's what it takes... Like, so Jamie cursed me because, like, I did not like Teen Titans Go. It's still not my favorite. But he's always like, hey, man, like, it's because of that my kids love some of those characters. And I'm like, well, that's fair. I get that, but I just don't want to watch it. And my niece, who I love more than life itself and who is adorable, she got obsessed with Teen Titans Go. And she wears a Raven costume every day. She has a Raven costume. She's not supposed to wear it till Halloween, but she's been wearing it every day since they bought it because she wants to be Raven. And I'm like, well, Jamie, I get your point. Because when you see your adorable niece running around dressed like Raven, it's really hard to be mad at that show.
It's just not made for us.
Yeah, right. All right, this message here is from Chaos. There's no actual other name, so it's Chaos 13212. Anyway, it says, hey, Holy BatCast. I'd like to say I'm a longtime listener, and this is my first time writing. I don't know if you've mentioned it or have already heard, but Marvel's Runaways on Hulu and Cloak and Dagger on Freeform are having a crossover. With this happening, do you think this could open the door for possible crossovers between CW shows and DC Universe shows? Is this no longer outside the realm of possibilities? What do you think, Justin, crossing over the CW DC shows with the DC Universe streaming shows?
Probably about a month and a half ago, I saw the first, possible rumor that the Titans will show up in Crisis. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think it would be cool to see Oliver Queen meet Dick Grayson, but I will never hold my breath for it. I don't think it'll happen.
Okay, what about you, Brendan?
Look, the fan in me is torn because, yes, obviously I'd love to see that, but at the same time, I just think that they're two completely different takes on DC characters. I don't think it would work. There is a part of me that would love to see Melissa Benoist Supergirl, like, dropping F-bombs and crushing skulls. but yeah,
That's true. That could be very fun to see them with the shackles off.
Yeah, but I don't think it would happen for that reason. They're just so different in tone and everything else. It's, Plus the whole Deathstroke thing, wouldn't work anyway. I mean, I actually know, I guess, because in CW it's all different Earth stuff. So maybe, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it could happen whenever they want it to happen. I think the only thing holding them back is them. I'm sure they can make it happen if they want to make it happen, but it just depends on if they do or why not. I have no problem with it. I understand your point, Brendan, but if you go the reverse, that could work. If you bring the Titans onto the CW, just don't make them say the F word, and it can still work.
I forgot about the, which is crazy because this year's crossover is Crisis, but I forgot about the multiple Earth thing, so it could actually work now that I think about it. Yeah.
So I just think, I don't know why they don't want to, but I don't think there's any good reason that they can't. Next message is from Tom Fallows from Liverpool. It says, hey, Andy and Brendan, I hope Jamie's enjoying football season, and I hope you guys are doing well. This guy. He's a joker, this one. He says, my question, when are you guys going to make a Star Wars podcast? Oh, you stinker. He said, I joke. I want to run something past you. I know the name's been thrown around a lot for Dick Grayson, but what would you think of Zac Efron as Batman in the future? I know he wouldn't be people's first choice after The Greatest Showman. I kind of want to see a Batman and Catwoman movie with him and Zendaya. Anyway, what do you think? Tom Fallows. Tom, thank you for the message. Zac Efron as Batman. Justin, thoughts?
I think his time has passed now that we just got Robert Pattinson cast. By the time that we get a new Batman, it's probably going to be at least 10 years, so hopefully, but I definitely think his time has passed.
Brendan?
How old is Zac Efron?
I think he's 31, 32.
He's, just a couple of years younger than me. I mean, if you're looking at another 10 or 15 years, maybe, if they want to go a different route again and do an older Batman after doing the younger one, I mean, he'd be the right age, and he's got the looks for it. I don't see a problem with it.
No, I think in a couple, in another year or two, well, not 1 year, maybe once he hits 35, I think, he would be really good. But as Justin said, I agree with Justin, is that we just got Robert Pattinson. He's probably signed for 3. That's going to buy 10 years. And then by the time that's over, Zac Efron's going to be in his 40s, which is scary to think about because what does that mean for my age? I'm going to be dead. No, I think that if Robert Pattinson wasn't cast, would I support Zac Efron? I would. But I'm afraid that ship has sailed. But that doesn't mean he can't be someone else.
Tell you what. I just had a moment though, could you imagine, cast your minds back, say, 10 years ago, could you imagine there being a conversation in a world where the guy from Twilight has just been cast as Batman, and we're discussing the possibility of the kid from High School Musical being Batman one day. And
His name is Troy Bolton. So why don't you show some fucking respect?
well, I never watched them, but do you
Well,
know
they're wonderful.
okay. But do you know what I mean? Like it's a bizarre world that we live in, really, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's accurate. Oh, and here's the thing, though. Okay, so, all right, I like High School Musical. Sue me. I don't care. But I hated Zac Efron. Hated him. Because apparently, like, in his High School Musical days, he was kind of a little shit. Allegedly. But, like, he's really talented, and he's grown up really well, and he seems like a good dude now. Like, he seems to have grown out of that immaturity, and so, like, I never thought I would be championing him for anything, because during his Troy Bolton days, I was just like, ugh, Zac Efron. And now I'm like, no,
The first
he's
thing
good.
I saw him in was 17 again, and it's only because Jess made me watch it because she really liked it, and I actually quite enjoyed that movie. But
It's pretty funny.
It did
Yeah,
make
it's a
me
good
laugh
movie.
that for no reason other than the fact that he was from High School Musical. Right at the start, there was that basketball dance routine for no reason at all. It still
Oh my
makes
God,
me
that-
laugh.
It's a good one, though. It's a good one. All right. Anyway, next message is from our pal Carrie Vanderberg. It says, "Hey, Andy, Brendan, and Jamie. I saw a post and a response on Twitter that made me LMAO. Either a WB account or a Birds of Prey account posted, 'What do you want to see in the Birds of Prey movie?' One of the responses was, titties. It said, I like that we're all just a bunch of 13-year-old boys at heart. It said, at first I thought that was something that no one should ever be asking for because it was inappropriate for a superhero film, but then I remembered the movie's rated R. It made me think that I actually would like to see that. So how about you guys? What inappropriate thing have you secretly wanted to see in a DC movie but wouldn't have the courage to say it out loud? Would you like to see boobies in Birds of Prey? The DC Universe shows have no problem going there, and Andy keeps calling Brendan a lately. So
This is the best email ever.
So a question like this didn't seem too out of bounds. Thanks, all the best, Carrie Vanderberg. And Carrie, of all the people to ask this question, I would not have pegged you. Because Carrie is like the sweetest dude. I've met him in person. He's just this sweet, nice little guy. I did not think he would be emailing me about boobies. So, what do you think? Something inappropriate that you would like to see in a DC movie, Justin?
Nothing comes to mind, but and any past movies, but because we've never, to my knowledge, we've never really gotten close to anything like that other than Ben Affleck's shower in PBS. That's the only thing.
True.
Anything close to that.
Right. Brendan?
I want a movie. If this is the route we're going down, I do apologize, but I'm answering the question honestly. A movie with Wonder Woman, Mera, and Harley Quinn, and all the boobies in the world.
All right. I'd watch that. I would watch that. I mean, yes, I say, yes, nudity. Absolutely. Nudity. Sex scenes. Totally. But, like, I'm equal opportunity. Like, you're going to let Harley Quinn get naked? Guess what? Dick Grayson gets naked, too. Just, it's only fair.
We don't know how much I'd love that.
Right? Especially if it was Zac Efron. Because, I mean, have you seen his abs? That's ridiculous. It's not even fair. So I'm a fan of nudity too. So what am I gonna say?
Singing with Zac Efron, it's probably naturally ribbed for her pleasure.
Oh yeah. So go for it.
Do you think we get it in Birds of Prey?
I hope
No.
we get it in.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't think we do, but I would support it. And you know what? Here, do your Harley Ivy movie.
Oh.
There you go. Harley and Ivy sex scene. Yeah. But you know what? Fair's fair. Allegedly, Black Mask is gay in Birds of Prey. Man on man. Have him seduce Dick Grayson. Just all of it. Love is love. Everybody fucks everybody else. And I'm here for it.
They'd never be accused. Marvel would never do it. That's all I'm saying.
And then the guy who emailed us, Rhodey, I think it was, take your 3-year-old to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's honest to God, that's the best email I think I've ever had in all my years of being on this show. I love it. And if Jess is still awake, I'm going to have to explain what she's just overheard.
Oh, okay. Anyway, the next message is from Eli Hernandez. It says, "Howdly doodly bat fanarinos." I like it. It says, "I hope you're doing well. As always, I enjoy the podcast. It entertains me on my commute. I know it's a Batman podcast, but like listeners did in previous weeks, I'm going to sneak in some non-Batman questions." It says, "First, other than a Batman arc, which arc is a must for any DC comic book reader?" Okay, see, that's okay. That's DC. That's okay.
Keeping it in the family.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it would be Flashpoint. And second, name me your favorite Simpsons episode. Mine is Rosebud, where Mr. Burns tries to find his long-lost teddy bear, Bobo. Anyway, keep up the good work. Until next time, Eli Hernandez. Thanks, Eli. Okay, so a non-Batman DC story that everyone should read. Justin?
Brendan, if you have an answer, you go first.
Mine is Superman's Secret Identity. Have you read that one?
No.
I have not.
It's this really cool story. It's like an Elseworld story where a guy, his name is Clark Kent, and it's a running joke, because Clark, like Superman, in the actually exists in this world, like he's a comic character, and like he always gets Superman things for his birthday, and he kind of gets the shits with it, whatever else. But one day he wakes up and he actually has the powers of Superman, and buys like a cheap Superman Halloween costume and starts being Superman. It's a really cool Elseworld Superman story, and my friend Grace lent me the trade she bought from a comic shop one day at work. I took the trade home, and 2 days later bought one and gave it back to her as like bought her the new copy and just kept the one she gave me. I love it. It's a really, really good book.
You said Superman's Secret Identity?
Superman's Secret Identity.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
So then I'm going to kind of bounce off of you and recommend Superman's Secret Origin.
That's a good one too.
By Jeff Johns and Gary Frank.
That's a really good one.
That one's awesome. I love that one. And then non-Superman, this is the one I've been recommending to anyone who will listen, Identity Crisis. Identity Crisis is brilliant.
Is that the one with Sue Dibney?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, Ralph and Sue Dibney. There's a big Tim Drake thing in there. There's a big Deathstroke in there. It's more of a Justice League story, but it is amazing. Yeah.
I would go with...
Any recommendations, Justin?
Yeah, Jeff Johns' New 52 Justice League run.
Oh, that's a great one, too. And then a favorite Simpsons episode. See, this one I'll allow because
I just want to quickly throw another comic in, which is The Legend of Wonder Woman graphic novel as well. It's really cool too.
Ah, cool. I will also then throw in the comic book adaptation of Santa Claus the movie.
Oh, I wish there was one.
I think there is one.
Are you serious?
I think so.
Holy shit! I'm googling that right now. Keep talking.
Google it. Maybe I. That's from an alternate timeline, but I swear I remember it was. Simpsons episode? Justin?
I used to watch it when I was younger, but I don't remember an episode by heart to tell you it's my favorite. What I did watch I thought was hilarious, but I don't remember a specific episode.
Okay, that's all right. Brendan?
Holy shit.
There's a comic adaptation?
It's a Marvel Super Special, Santa Claus the Movie.
Yeah!
You know how the last few years you've bought me Santa Claus the Movie stuff for Christmas?
Yes.
Oh, man, if you can get your hands on that.
If you're good, if you play your cards right, we'll see.
Awesome. Anyway, I'm trying to think. I haven't watched The Simpsons for years. I always liked the Treehouse of Horror stuff. I remember probably the one I watched the most was the one that ended with the 3D.
Yeah.
Going into the third dimension, but it had the where all the mascots and stuff come to life as well.
So you understood my just don't look.
Yeah, I was all
just
over
don't
that.
look. Thank you for getting that. I didn't know.
The monorail one's good.
Monorail's amazing.
The Barbershop Quartet one's good. Pin Pals is good. Yeah, it's just naming off the classics, but yeah, they're the ones that I like. The X-Files one was good.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. God, what I love the Sherry Bobbins one.
That's not bad either, actually.
It's hysterical. Oh man, I love Sherry. So yeah, I'll go with Sherry Bobbins, but because it's the first one that jumped to mind. But yes, it's The Simpsons. There's 100 that I love, and the other one I was gonna say Monorail. That's an amazing one. Dancing Homer is awesome.
The one that had Jack Lemmon in it, that was really good too. Where he was like the busted ass food seller or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Next message is Ryan Lauer, and he actually wrote pronounced like Lauer. Thanks, because sometimes they say Ryan Lower. Whoops. Anyway, it says, hey Andy and others, 2 things. First, in reference to my email on the last episode about Tom King's Batman run, for me, I mostly dug it, minus the Nightmare arc in the 60s issue. But I understand why some may not. For those thinking of jumping back in, I'd recommend starting with issue number 70, as it's Batman and Arkham facing villains, and a great lead into the big finale, City of Bane. I'd be interested to hear what you thought if you jump back in. Second, I don't know if it's ever been mentioned before, but Andy, Brendan, what is your favorite Batman comic story? It could be a single issue, a certain run, or a graphic novel. Thanks for reading. Keep up the good work, Ryan Lauer. Well, thank you for the recommendation for the Tom King Batman run, and single favorite Batman story. Ooh, that's hard. Justin, do you have one?
Yeah, Long Halloween.
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
That was
that
the
makes
first
sense.
Batman story I ever read, and I loved it.
Cool. Brendan?
These are the sort of questions I need to be standing in front of my comic collection before I throw out an answer. Because was it single story or run? Did he say?
He said it. Whatever. He just said story, whether it be a single issue, a run, or a graphic novel.
Scott Snyder's recent Batman Who Laughs arc, that was really good.
See, it's really hard because, I mean, it's hard to not say the usual suspects like Hush and, Year One and stuff like that. I'm trying to sort of get away because everyone expects you to say that, but I don't know.
Isn't that crazy? Okay, we live and breathe Batman, right?
But you
and
can't
someone
answer these questions.
Someone asks a question like this, and I'm like, I don't know. It's like, I should know. I should have an answer to this question. It's really hard.
Love them all.
I love, yes. Honest, if I'm going with, it sounds like we're going comics, so I guess I'll go with A Lonely Place of Dying. I guess.
Yeah.
Have you read A Lonely Place of Living?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I did a whole episode on it. You should look it up now on your next long drive.
Okay.
See, I really like, and I know I've said this a million times before, but I love the Batman Adventures comics.
Right.
But that's the thing, because most of them are all one and dones. It's hard to sort of say that it's a. But I mean, look, they're available as collections, so I guess does a trade count as a graphic novel? But I mean, they're my favorite Batman stories because they're extensions of Batman the Animated Series. So.
Are they copies of episodes of the animated series, or are they new stories?
No, all original stories.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes they did the reverse, where, what am I thinking of? Where they did like Mad Love and the what's the Christmas Holiday Nights?
Holiday Nights, yeah.
Where they took stories from the comics and made them
into a comic form.
Yeah, but they're all original stories. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, there you go. Anyway, let's move forward. This is from JT Wheatley. It says, "Dear Andy, Jamie, and the supposed Australian Brendan." JT be throwing some shade already. He says, "Congratulations on the best Batman podcast." Hold on one second. He says, "Congratulations on the best Batman podcast, along with being one of the best DC and comic book podcasts around. I'm a mail carrier, and a nice product of running my route every day is I'm able to listen to the radio 5 to 6 hours. And like most modern entertainment consumers, it's not on a disc. If it's not on a disc or can't be streamed, I rarely watch or listen to it. Since I have 5 to 6 hours to listen, my tastes have broadened. For instance, I followed up the best of Jimi Hendrix with How to Train Your Dragon, the score. That's a great score. I also listen to lots of different podcasts. Being a comic fan, I gravitate towards comic book podcasts and even started one of my own history of comic book podcasts, in which I try to give a rambling and 2 brief histories on various parts of the comic book history, which includes a 3-parter on the history of Batman. Anyway, what makes your podcast superior to this and all other Batman podcasts is how you cover every aspect of DC's greatest superhero, from movies, comics, cartoons, and so forth. Especially how much you touch on the obscure stuff like the Untold Tales of Batman comics, which made me dust off my old copies from my long box. Plus, even when you have opinions that not everyone agrees with, for example, in my case, I haven't truly liked Zack Snyder movies since 300, and I needed a shower after Suicide Squad, but I do love Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Shazam. You give well-reasoned arguments on those opinions, and like you say, that's why they have menus at restaurants. I binged your podcast over the last 2 months, and thus have too much to say in one email. However, I can't let pass is in reference to your supposed Australian Brendan. As someone who's half Australian himself, who hails from Brisbane, I enjoyed your jabs against us and have to admit the truth in many of them. For example, the last time I was at an aquarium, I did ball up my fist in anger at the manta rays over what they did to Steve Irwin. You and me both. I'm not Australian, but I'm still not over that. Says, however, the one thing I can't let pass is implying Australians drink Fosters. It's not even a real Australian beer. It's brewed in Canada. Proper Australian beers are Carlton Draft, Victoria Bitter, and my personal favorite, Goldman's XXXX, which pairs
4X.
great.
It's called 4X.
Yeah, that makes sense. Which pairs great with a sausage roll or Vegemite on crackers. If you want something that tastes like Foster's Down Under, you got to go to the nearest men's room and find a urinal that hasn't been flushed. And the fact that Brendan didn't immediately object to this slander makes me question his Aussie heritage.
Okay.
You want to address that?
Well, it's because I don't drink, which I know makes
you're
me
a big,
sound
big
even
nerd.
more un-Australian. But I have a terrible stomach, so I don't drink.
That's fine. He says, all joking aside, great podcast. I'll be writing a 5-star review as long as you correct the Foster slander, along with, as Michael Keaton's Batman said, I'll be telling all my friends about you. Keep up the good work. Can't wait for the next episode, even if the supposed Australian is on.
Well, can I just say that given he gave a description of his job, my message would be that I'm definitely Australian. And he best do his job properly, because the company that he would be delivering for, I work in the customer service section in the call center. And when drivers don't do their job properly, I get calls about it. So while you're listening to the podcast, do your job properly and there won't be any problems.
There you go. But I think he's a U.S. mail carrier. It sounds like he's half Australian but lives in the States now.
Okay. Well, in that case,
anyway.
I don't care, but if you're delivering in Australia, do the job properly.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, well, thank you, JT. I'm glad you found us. I'm glad we keep you company on your route. And Foster's, point taken. All right. Next message is from Mark Jurasevic. It says, hey, Batcasters, it seems we're on the same page about Bruce Wayne and Batman's casting on Titans. If you were in a position to recast, who would you choose? My choice would be Anson Mount. who is Christopher Pike in Star Trek Discovery. He has the look, stature, and naturally plays characters with leadership qualities that others are drawn with underlying intensity. I think he was also Black Bolt on the Inhumans, wasn't he?
I have no idea.
I think I didn't watch Inhumans, but I think that's him. Anyway, it says, how would you rank all the Jurassic Park movies? Caveat, you also need to include the 1969 classic The Valley of Gwangi. I don't have to do anything.
That's not a Jurassic Park movie.
I don't. You can't make me do that.
We're going to include the Dinosaurs TV series that Disney did as well.
Oh, we should include that.
I mean, we should, but...
And then a question for Brendan. Did you ever visit the Justice League ride in Movie World? I did in 2015. I thought it was one of the bloody best themed rides I'd ever been on. Yes, I'm an Aussie. As always, love your show, Jurassic Mark. Thanks, Jurassic Mark. Brendan, you had to have ridden the Justice League ride, right?
Heaps of times. It is good, but it's not as good as the Batman ride that used to be there. So, as much as I like it, I'm still a bit bitter that it's taken over from the Batman ride. I wish they had have not reformatted that and kept it and added the Justice League ride, but what are you going to do?
All right. So ranking the Jurassic movies. I'll allow it.
Because it's Jurassic Park.
Because it's Jurassic Park. Justin, do you have a ranking of the 5 Jurassic movies?
I've only seen the first one and then the 2 newest ones. I did not like Fallen Kingdom at all, but the original is obviously the best one, and then probably Jurassic World, and then Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
I'm going to say so number 1 is obviously Jurassic Park. 2 is Jurassic World. 3 is Jurassic Park. Well, 3 would be The Lost World. 4 would be Fallen Kingdom, and 5 would be Jurassic Park 3. And actually, I'd say 2.5 would be that short film.
Battle at Big Rock?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was super
really good.
Cool. Yeah, Battle at Big Rock was awesome. I was very happy with that. Okay, I would Jurassic Park, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, The Lost World, and then Jurassic Park 3. But I have to say, I like them all. Like, Jurassic Park 3 is last, but I still really like it, and I'll watch it right now if you want to.
How excited are you that everyone is coming back?
I was going to say, timely given the news that broke yesterday.
Oh.
Andy filled
I just softened up.
I love that the last month and a half this show's really been.
We're a mess.
Really
We're a mess.
Really
what the hell happened?
Blue. I love it.
All right, this one is not so much an email. Well, it is an email, but it's more of a heads up. So, there's a website called FeedSpot. So it's blog.feedspot.com, and they did a ranking of the top 25 DC Comics podcasts, and we made the ranking.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I just wanted to I got this email that was like, hey, heads up, you got this. And I was like, oh, thank you. So the founder, his name is Anuj Agarwal. So Anuj, thank you for including us in that amongst some good company. And I'm glad you enjoy the show, and I'm glad there. So folks, if you want to check that out, you can go to blog.feedspot.com, and we're in there. We're in the top 25. So hooray for us.
Obviously, that voting was done before all the talk.
Obviously. we're dropping down. We're going to be 26 before we know it. All right. I don't think we're going to get through all these emails. There's so many. I don't know what happened. There's so many. Okay, I'm going to do one more, and then we got to wrap up. This is from Carl Fuston. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast family, which Batman villain do you think that Carrie Fisher could have played? Catwoman, Harley Quinn, Talia, or Poison Ivy? Speaking of Carrie Fisher, what is your favorite Princess Leia moment in Star Wars?" Star Wars. More Star Wars. Okay. Could Carrie Fisher have played one of these villains. What do you guys think, Justin?
Yeah, I think she would have been a interesting Harley Quinn.
Okay. Brendan?
Yeah, just trying to think.
It's hard to come up with it right on the spot.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she was a great actress, so she could have played anything. I'm just having a hard time picturing. I can't picture as. I can picture as a Selena Kyle, but not so much a Catwoman, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I could see her as a Harley back in the day. I don't know. I think, again, also like back in the day, I could see her as Poison Ivy because she has this great sarcastic attitude that I think could work for Poison Ivy. So yeah, I guess that would work. And then a favorite Princess Leia moment. Justin?
I don't have a lot of memories of the first trilogy. So I guess in Force Awakens when her and Han meet again, went outside of her ship, and she says something about his coat. I thought that was funny. How he hasn't changed his coat all these years or whatever.
All right, cool. Brendan, you probably don't.
Can I skip this one?
Sure. For me, it's in the very first Star Wars when Luke and Han come to save her. And she's like, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? And then she grabs the gun and she's like, I guess it's up to us. It's up to me to save our necks. Like, that whole scene is awesome. I just love that they're there to save her and she immediately takes control of the situation because she's awesome. So there you go. I do think we're going to have to wrap it up there. These emails are going to have to wait till next time. We might have to do a Wayne Manor mailbox catch-up when I get back from vacation, but we're at over 2 hours, and I want to be respectful of everybody's time, including mine, because I have to pack. So anyway, thank you to everybody who wrote in. We do love hearing from you. We love these questions. They're super fun and random, and they keep us on our toes. So if you've got something for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. But that's where we're going to wrap up this episode, which has been super fun. Justin, thank you for joining us and congrats on your first episode.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And if the folks at home want to keep up with you, where can they do that?
I have a Twitter account. It's at Gotham Savior, and I don't tweet all that often, but I'm always on.
There you go. Gotham Savior on Twitter. So thanks, Justin. It was great having you.
Thank you.
Brendan, tell the folks where to find you in case they don't already know.
You can find me at Loey007 on Twitter, or you can follow my podcast, which is The Nightlight, at Nightlight Pod on Twitter.
Sweet. You can also find Brendan on Santa Claus the Movie podcast that he's starting this holiday season.
With you.
It's true. It'll just be an offshoot of this.
Yeah, exactly. Holy Santa Claus.
Anyway, I like it already. I'm into it. So follow Justin, follow Brendan, and thank you as always for downloading the show and for joining us. It's been fun. We covered a lot of ground on this, which is good because it's going to have to tide you over while I go get scared in Orlando, and I can't wait. So yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do continue following the show. Please subscribe so you never miss an episode. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And most importantly, as Michael Keaton's Batman says, I want you to tell all your friends about me. Visit holybatcast.com. Follow the show on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Holy BatCast. And again, if you've got a question for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. But that'll do it for this episode. On behalf of Brendan and Justin, I've been Andy, and we will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.